Welcome to the Building Web3 Podcast. I have my good friend Fig. He is the co-founder of Squid. Fig, before we get too deep into Squid, give us a brief background into what you were doing before you got into this Web3 world and what was your come to crypto moment.
So I started out in medicine, actually, studying to be a doctor. And it was super interesting, learn about all sorts of things, but it's not a very creative profession. You don't want, it is in certain ways, but you don't want your doctor to come up with something new the night before and try it out on you, right? You don't want your surgeon to come with a funny knife that he's thought about trying. And so I left medicine, went to New York and taught myself to code. And coding is the ultimate creativity, really, because you can make anything that you can think of, and worked as a developer for a while. Got interested in finance as well, worked in finance for a couple of years. And those two things came together really nicely with crypto when I found out about it. So got into crypto in 2020, and I was building trading bots at first. Got interested in the blockchain, the core infrastructure part of crypto instead of trading, and especially interoperability, because back in 2020 we had Ethereum had just launched. Not just launched. DeFi had just taken off, and we were getting Solana, Avalanche, Polygon. It just started popping up and getting users, and the user experience was just so bad getting into any of them. So I wanted to build something which solved that problem and brought us back to this world of DeFi and Ethereum that I really fell in love with at first.
Yeah, so you mentioned fragmentation. Talk to us a little bit about the motivation for Squid, and then for people that are unfamiliar, what does Squid do?
Yes, the motivation was this fragmentation, both fragmentation and user experience. If we want to onboard users, every project talks about onboarding the next billion users, but it's really just pointless if you can't use crypto, if a normal person can't use crypto easily. And I thought the biggest barrier to that was interoperability and the fragmentation of assets between different blockchains, because there's wealth spread out across crypto, and really the best user experience right now is going to Binance or to Coinbase. You go to a centralized exchange and you can buy assets on every chain. You can buy native Bitcoin, USDC, ETH, Solana, whatever, all in one place just at the click of a button. And you go to DeFi, and we call it DeFi, but really you can only buy 20% of the assets if you're on one chain. And so the mission of Squid is to get access to all of these chains natively in one application, but using decentralized means. So you have self-custody. You can buy any token that has liquidity on a decentralized exchange. You don't have to wait for it to get listed on Binance anymore. It's just if it exists and has some liquidity, you can buy it. And also you can access the rest of crypto, which is not just tokens. It's DeFi, lending, staking, NFTs, gaming, whatever use case crypto has in the future, AI. You should be able to also access that as if you're just using Shopify. It should be one click going into an NFT. And we work with, say, Decentralized, Immutable X, Immutable Web, working really closely with on gaming. And that's around payments. But anyway, I'll get into what Squid is. So Squid allows you to do all those things. What we are is an API, which is for a developer tool. It means you can build applications that allow people to either swap tokens between chains or create payments between chains. And we have a front end as well where you can go and you can log in with any of your crypto wallets and swap, not just within a chain, but swap across chains in one click. So if you have ETH on Arbitrum and you want to get TIA on Celestia, you can do that in one click. And under the hood, Squid is aggregating a lot of different things. We're doing swaps on Uniswap. We're bridging via, actually one of our closest partners is a bridge called Axelar, also bridging via IBC, a bunch of others. And we do all that under the hood to get you what you want. You only have to do one action. It's how it should be. And um, yeah, that's Squid.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the difficulties in like how you guys have built this under the hood. So they log in with their wallet, they go to squidrouter.com where they sign in with like Wallet Connect, and then they're like, hey, even though I'm on Ethereum, I would like to buy some Bitcoin. And just talk us through kind of like the life of a transaction and kind of the technical details that then go underneath there.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest ones because Bitcoin is obviously the biggest asset. For so long, you haven't been able to buy a native Bitcoin with DeFi. Thorchain has existed for a while, but the number of assets it supports is really limited. And what Squid's doing is you can now have any asset and get to Bitcoin. So what happens is, yeah, you log in with your wallet. In this case, you need two wallets, Ethereum wallet and a Bitcoin wallet. Or maybe you logged in with Trust Wallet or another one which supports both. Hopefully that the wallets will catch up to this. And then you select the token in your Ethereum wallet that you want to sell. Maybe it's Ethereum, and select Bitcoin on the destination. Type in how much you want to sell, one Ethereum, and then we will go and get quotes from a variety of different sources, but likely the main one will be Chainflip, which is a project we just recently integrated. Really excited about them. They've got all these new ways of swapping native Ethereum to Bitcoin that make it a better user experience. Usually it takes an hour to do this, and they've shortened it down to I think 5 minutes when swapping from Bitcoin. Anyway, we get a quote from them, get a quote from a few others, and whoever has the best price will give to you. And then you sign on Ethereum, and it then interacts with the smart contracts of the tool which we recommended to you. So we don't actually touch the money. We just recommend a tool to you, and we have smart contracts which will orchestrate multiple tools together, because everyone knows this experience. Like getting to another chain, you have to first go to a DEX, swap it, and then you have to go and find a bridge across there. Then once you get to the other side, you have to find a new bridge, get some gas, and we're just automating all of those steps together into one click for you.
And then how do you guys essentially do this under the hood? So we've had, Enzo on here, we've had Mantis. These guys seem to coalesce around Intense as being the solution. Then we had JP. I forget exactly JP from Thor, how they exactly implemented under the hood, but talk to us a little bit about the implementation because it's not particularly easy.
Yeah. No, it's not easy at all, especially across so many different chains. I think intents are interesting, and we're actually building with intents as well. We use intents to make cross-chain transactions really fast, because usually with cross-chain you have to wait for it's called the finality of the source chain, and that's usually around 20 minutes when you're going from a roll-up, and we use intents to speed that up. But for us, we wanted to make use of all the liquidity that's already there in crypto. Like there's so much DEX liquidity out there that we wanted to first get access to all of that, and then we've got intents coming in over the top. What it means is you get the best of both worlds. You get all the decentralized AMM liquidity, and then you get the slightly more centralized intent liquidity. I say it's centralized because intents often rely on market makers who are essentially pro traders to take the other side of your trade. So in that case, we get a quote from a user, and we'll quote the AMMs like Uniswap, and we'll quote the market makers, and whoever best price at the time will get the order. And then on chain, we have smart contracts which essentially can route. We call it Squid Router on Twitter. You can route to AMMs or bridges or to intent protocols onto the hood.
Yeah, and for people that are interested in like liquidity fragmentation, they could check out Mina's episode formerly at Native, because what you were talking about with the pricing off chain and on chain. So talk to us a little bit about this, like, routing, because it seems to be, at least I know from the website, like faster and cheaper. And talk to us a little bit about like this on chain plus off chain liquidity and how this all kind of works together.
Yeah, totally. think it's the end game of where we'll get to really with swapping, because you have decentralized liquidity, like I said, and then centralized liquidity. They both have very different characteristics, but I think it's everything. Like decentralized liquidity is amazing for, say, launching a meme coin. As soon as a meme coin is launched, it goes straight onto Radium on Solana, but Uniswap on Ethereum, and anyone can do this. Just a click of a button, super easy. And the other thing with AMMs, they're great for stable coins, because you can imagine if you're swapping USDC to USDT, it's almost all the time going to be a one-to-one swap. And you don't really need a pro trading desk to price one-to-one USD swaps, right? Like you can just put that into a smart contract and it goes one-to-one and it takes out a small fee. So I think they're really good for those. And then they're also really good in times of big liquidity crunches, when the price is falling in a big way. Market makers are notorious for like disappearing out of the market. Like you go on Binance and, well, I mean, centralized exchanges might even go down. Like not only will the market makers not want to trade, but the exchange actually like says, no, we're not trading anymore. And that's often a sign of big corruption in these crypto exchanges, not from the market makers side. But the great thing about DEXs is they're always on. Like the liquidity is there at times of need. And so that's why instead of us going fully to the intent world, we thought it was really important to keep DEX as part of our solution, because it's so frustrating going to Binance and wanting to buy a meme coin and it's not listed, or going to Binance and it's like it's off, it's not letting you trade because the market's like shitting itself. And then centralized liquidity is great because when it's working, it's often cheaper. The fees are lower, the spreads, like the way the order book is, the buyers and the sells are actually really close together because the market makers have to compete on getting the best prices. So getting with us, then you're getting the best prices most of the time, and then you're also getting always on capability of DEXs. You can rely on us to trade whenever you like, and you're always going to get the best price, and it's decentralized.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about like what sets you guys apart from others in the ecosystem. We've interviewed people like, not that you guys are very similar to them, but like Otis Router. We've interviewed other routing technologies, other people trying to combat this like chain fragmentation problem. So talk to us a little bit about like what you guys have worked on to really set yourself apart.
I think the biggest thing for us is, well, there's two things. It's one click. Everything in Squid is one click. And Odos are amazing, but I think they're more of a single chain router. So one click is very easy. Doing it cross chain, that's like, it's crazy hard. Like some of our routes, we service DYDX, we do all their onboarding and offboarding. And that route often involves 3 bridges, 2 swaps on different chains. And we have to essentially give a big instruction list to DYDX, and the user signs it once, and then it just executes seamlessly across 4 chains and maybe 2-3 DEXs. So being able to make that reliable is really, really hard, and doing it in one click. So there are some other cross-chain solutions which aren't able to do this in one click. So sometimes you have to click twice. You first do the bridge, and then you wait for the bridge, wait for 15 minutes. Once that's finished, then you sign again on the destination chain. And that user experience, I think, is just like unacceptable. No normal person outside of crypto is going to use something that needs that. And then the second part is, once you have single click transactions, it makes the developer experience much, much easier, because it's fine if we understand if we had to do 2 clicks, our front end team could probably work that out. And it would be a worse user experience, but we could make a user interface for it. But if we want to expand to hundreds or thousands of developers, all of them aren't going to be bothered working out to build a front end, which has to sometimes do 1 click, sometimes do 2 or 3. And the other thing with Squid is it's not just swaps that you can do, but you can do. We have these things called hooks. So before and after the transaction, you can execute a hook, and the hook is, again, arbitrary logic. You can buy an NFT, you can stake into a DeFi protocol, you can deposit into a derivatives DEX, and combination of these hooks and the one-click thing make it really this like ultimate developer tool. What wasn't needed in a single chain world now in a cross-chain world, every developer needs. Like, it's been extremely successful. I think we're the most integrated cross-chain API and SDK out there because of this reason. Once you have like very fast transactions that are single click and you can execute anything on the end, it just becomes this thing that everyone needs. Imagine you're a developer who's building an app on one chain and you want anyone in crypto to be able to use your app in one click. We're really the best solution for that. If you're building on Arbitrum, you don't want only the Arbitrum users to be able to use you. You want all the base users, maybe all the Solana users and Bitcoin users to also be able to onboard directly into your app in one click. And I think it's those hooks and the single click thing that really set us apart. We've got a lot of chains. Like, we have, I think, 77 chains now, maybe 78. And we've got the right architecture to scale really quickly. So we're going to have hundreds in the next year.
Awesome. Before we get to the next question, I want to share an exciting announcement from our sponsor. So if you're a Web3 organization like Arbitrum, Optimism, Solana, any of the big people that my friends at Squid would integrate with, we have the opportunity to help you guys launch a dedicated podcast channel. We recently helped Zero Gravity launch their own podcast focused on decentralized AI. Completely done for you. They're producing about 4 episodes a month, top tier guests, boosting their business development and solidifying their authority in the AI space. Our team will take care of everything from booking the guests, crafting the questions. You get to focus on your project while we help you grow your brand. 4 to 6 qualified meetings every single month, building with a podcast pipeline, or you don't pay. So if you're ready to elevate your foundation or company, visit Jax Dwyer, JXDWYER, almost forgot how to spell my own name there, .com to book a free strategy call, and let's get you some real results. Now back to the show. So one thing that I find interesting is you're integrating with all of these different chains. So if we go to the Web2 world, something like a Zapier, or if people are familiar with Martech, they might be familiar with the segment. Are you building all these integrations yourself, or are some of the chains coming to you and they're saying like, hey, let me integrate with Fig, Squid? How does that work? Fig Squid does sound kind of funny.
Big Squid, yeah. Everyone calls me Squid sometimes. Yeah, it's up until now it's all been us. We've done all the work, but we are on a bit of a big expansion in the next few months, and there's a lot of chains which are extremely different. Like, well, we're integrating with Sui, like Stellar, and going to XRP, Solana. All these chains have very, very different worlds. So we're getting a bit of help from the chain foundations themselves or dev shops, which they work closely with. And there is, yes, there's an element of being able to plug your own chain into Squid, but we still make sure that we do a lot of the work ourselves. It's really just helping us around the smart contract layer, and because the smart contracts are something you don't want to mess with, and we're experts in Solidity and Rust. But when you get into new specific languages, we want to make sure that we work closely with the people who built it.
Now, let's say we'll take the Ton Foundation or one of the, I'll say, newer entrants on the scene, even though Ton's been around for a while, that have these like more bespoke languages. Do they have essentially like engineering teams that you just pretty much talk with and they're like, hey, we're going to integrate with talk us through how that works.
Yeah. It's I'm not sure how available these are to a lot of teams. They should be, right? But we have, standing calls with the engineers of some of these blockchains, and we'll when I mean standing call, I mean once a week, and talk about the progress that we've been making on smart contracts there, and talk through specific issues of that language that they use. Because Squid has a set of requirements that we want on every chain. It's what is needed to make these, we call it orchestration, the way that you can put bridges and swaps together all in one transaction. The way that you do that in different languages is really different. Even some languages even have it built in natively, and you don't have to do very much. So, um, yeah, we have standing call with the engineering teams of these chains, and they'll it's often really interesting. They just teach you about how it works. I love it. It's part of the best part of the job.
Yeah, I wonder. Now, do you see a huge difference between these blockchains? Like Ton is always one that comes to mind because we've interviewed a few of their dApps where they have this interesting language. I think it's called Funk, FUNC, and then at least Rust is relatively standard. Solidity is relatively standard. We've also interviewed Movement Labs, so that's another. I guess you guys had to be experts in all of these different languages and all of these different integration points.
Yeah, well, Move's the one we're working on at the moment. Um, we haven't gotten to Ton yet, but we'll be integrating Ton. Um, yeah, it's I guess there's something with with developers, right? Once you've learned 3 or 4 languages, it's often easy to learn the next one. The important thing is having the expert there because with smart contracts, you just can't make any errors. Like it has to be perfect, and there's often very arcane things that you just have to know about. But actually learning the language so you can be fluent in it and write code doesn't take too long for a lot of like senior developers. So for example, Move is sort of similar to Rust, and our Rust guys will are the ones that learn Move and become the Move guys internally.
Yeah, this was what the hiring philosophy was at Google when I was there was like, hey, we're not hiring you because you're a Java expert. We're hiring you more because you're very smart. And we think like, hey, if you have to write Go code tomorrow, you'll be able to figure it out. So yeah, definitely aligned with that type of philosophy. And I know you guys are working on Squid 2.0. Maybe it's already released and I have some outdated information, but tell us a little bit about some of the innovations that you're seeing with 2.0 and why do we even need 2.0?
Yeah, 2.0 is, I wonder when this will be released, but it's probably released. Let's talk about it as if it's out. Um, so 2.0 we're so excited by. It's essentially it's the next iteration of Squid, and it's faster, it's smarter, it's like does much more complex routing. So you're gonna get better prices. And it's ready for scaling to thousands of chains. In the next, hopefully, year or two, we'll see the roll-up as a services go live, and we can have a lot of roll-ups pop up, a lot of chains. And we're ready for that. We were just talking about, Move, Ton, Solana, all these unusual chains, Stellar, XRP, Cardano. Like, we want to have one platform which can compete with Binance. Like, the dream has always been to have really the best use case of crypto, which at the moment is centralized exchanges, but do that in a completely decentralized way. And Squid 2.0 gets you there. So Squid 2.0 is a new graph-based architecture in the backend. And the reason, so for the people that don't know, a graph is, think of it like a constellation. So you look up at the stars and you have thousands and thousands of stars, and you want to find the best point from A to B across the sky, and you have to go via different stars. Imagine each one of those stars as a DEX or a bridge or a chain. And we have a representation of all of the DEXs, tokens, and chains in this sort of constellation in our backend. And every time you get a quote from us, we find the best path via this, it's called a graph. And it's much faster than, say, having a set of if-else statements, which is like, if I want to go to Ethereum, try these DEXs, get the prices there, then get the best price of this one, then the next step is try these 3, get the best price there. So it's a really efficient way of getting the best price really quickly in a complex environment. And you can see this in our front end. So originally, Squid V1 had, I think, response quote times of 13 seconds, something like this. Every time you got a quote from us, it would take a really, really long time. And that's frustrating. Like, bridging is slow enough, let alone having to get a quote. So everything in Squid V2 takes less than a second to get a quote, and it feels amazing to use. Like, you type in and it snaps back at you. It starts to feel a little bit more like Web 2. 1 second is still a really long time in Web 2, but we average around half a second. I think it's really good. And then it's other type of bridges as well that we've integrated in Squid 2.0. I don't know if this will be live by the time the podcast is live, but we've integrated chain flip for Bitcoin. Maybe one day we integrate Thorchain, but for now, chain flip is the best for us. So you can now you'll be able to swap native Bitcoin into any token, any chain. And going to these chains that don't have smart contracts like Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP, like all these chains they're like the most used assets in crypto. They're the highest volumes, but yeah, most DeFi protocols don't even support them. So we thought it was really important to go down that route and start to support non-smart contract chains as well. And the front end, we've got a new front end, which is really beautiful, really fast, snappy to use. It's got all sorts of really nice features, like you can input the amount that you want in dollars instead of ETH. So you want to send someone $100 of ETH. That's usually really hard to work out, and you have to, input a few different numbers. Now you can just switch to dollar mode, put in $100. It's got ENS support, another nice user experience upgrade where you don't have to look at addresses anymore. You can just look at the nice, pretty names on ENS. And we have a really nice view where you can view all of your token balances across every chain. And our mission really is to remove chains from the interface. Like a user, it should be a little bit like Web2 moving to cloud, where we're a little bit like the cloud here for liquidity. You should never have to look at the chain in your interface. You should just have to look at the token. So swapping USDC to ETH will find you the best price from USDC to ETH on any chain. And that's, I think, the real dream that we want to get to. It's like we've always talked about this. You don't, developer doesn't really want to talk about the type of server architecture that they're building on. They just want to build on a server. And once we have Squid 2.0 working really well, which we do now, a developer is able to do that. They're just able to build a crypto app, get payments into their app. Doesn't matter where the user's from, where they have their assets, where the developer deploys their application. It's very much like the internet. Anyone can interact with anything. That's 2.0.
Yeah, and it really points out some big UX issues that I'm very happy you guys are solving, because my mom doesn't go to a website. One, she doesn't even know that she's using Google Cloud functions in the background, nor does she have to go in and buy Google Cloud credits. And then when she switches to an AWS thing, like the fragmentation is a very big problem, and I'm very happy you guys are working on it. So talk to us a little bit about, because we've looked ahead in the future and we see what Squid 2.0 is bringing. What kind of notable partnerships have you guys brought to place? It seemed like DYDX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got so many partnerships. We always get a new partnership every day. DYDX is a huge one. Vertex Exchange is another great derivatives DEX. MetaMask uses us under the hood. Trust Wallet, the Binance's wallet. Blockchain.com. They all use us for swaps in the wallet. So if you have a wallet where you're holding, you don't even have to leave the wallet. You can just use Squid within it. Swaps and bridging. Immutable is a really exciting one because they have all these games that they need people to onboard into their chain. And not all exchanges support their chain. Not all fiat on-ramps support it. So what you can do is a user can onboard into Arbitrum first and then use Squid to onboard into Immutable. And Immutable have built some great user interfaces using the Squid API to do this. So yeah, buying game tokens and doing payments within games is really interesting. NFTs, we've got Decentralized. We're working with a few staking providers as well. So you'll be able to stake assets across chains. Again, like one of the main use cases of crypto, apart from buying tokens, is getting yield on tokens. You should be able to do that without having to think about Arbitrum, Optimism, Base. It's just stake your tokens in one click. And we also, another great use case of Squid is real payments in the real world. We are working with a company called Zion, XION, which they've got some amazing partnerships in Africa. I think they have 1 million merchants, something like this. And So in all of these merchants, you can pay with any token on any chain. And under the hood, it uses Squid to swap from that token to USDT on Polygon. And then they have an off-ramping process, which lets the merchant receive that USDT in their local currency. And like, I just think that's the end game for crypto. Everyone should be paying, holding their assets on chain. Whenever you pay for anything, you just tap a button, and hopefully in the future the merchants are also holding crypto. But for now, we need these processes to off ramp as well, and Squid is a crucial part of those, because you might be holding USDC on any chain that the fiat on ramp doesn't know. And we'll be adding fiat on ramps ourselves, hopefully in this year. So you can be able to go to the Squid app and on ramp into any token that we support instantly. I think that'll be a big unlock as well. Another big centralized exchange use case is on ramping. And once you can do that to any token on any chain, I think we've broken the back of most of the user experience problems in crypto.
Yeah, I always found that to be quite interesting that we don't have like a Stripe pay with crypto or like a Stripe subscription. And maybe that will come, or maybe it's just the US regulations are a little too thick at the moment. So hopefully, Squid will be solving all these issues. Let's talk a little bit about like the developer community and how you guys reach out to there. I know you guys had a Squid summer camp. So tell us a little bit about that initiative.
Yeah, summer camp was so fun. So summer camp was a community initiative this year that we did. It was in August, and it was a way for us to finally like interact on a more fun level with our entire community. And we did all these kinds of activities that you can imagine in a summer camp. I think we were picking berries, picking mushrooms in Discord game that we built. All the users were using AI, using Suno, which is a music AI platform, and they're making Squid songs. What else did we do? Cooking, meme competitions. It was really interesting because crypto often online has a very, I don't know what it is, desperate kind of energy about it sometimes. You're missing out on a meme coin and you turn it to this monster, or your tokens are going to zero, and you just feel like you feel terrible. And you see a lot of bad energy out there in the crypto sphere because of this. And within Squid Summer Camp, the energy was so positive. It was just constantly, like, everyone was just really loving, happy to be around each other, and a really cute energy. So it showed to me that the Squid community, Squid brings out probably in these same people who are having a rough time outside our community. Inside our community, there was just like really good energy, and it was the start of that. I think we're going to be doing more and more and more community things, and we've now got a core group of the community members who are still chatting every day in Discord, in some private chats. And I think that's something we want to bring to crypto as well. Keep on talking about how do we make it accessible to normal people. You don't want people like yelling at each other because the price is going down. Like, that's not a good experience for Web2 people to come in and see. We need something which is more like supportive and just a good energy to be around. So we're going to try and have the redemption arc after FTX and all of that. Like, we want to be this trustworthy, like, nice place to be. Holding crypto should feel good, and that's another big thing that we've been working on.
Yeah, and let's imagine tomorrow you couldn't work on Squid, or better put, where do you think there's a great opportunity to build new solutions? We're always trying to get more builders in the space, and we'd love like an idea for like if someone's out there and they're technically proficient, like what do you think needs to be built in crypto these days?
I think the payments thing is the most exciting. Like, there's two ways of going about it. You either go something very, very decentralized, and just try and like rock the boat with decentralization, or you build a real heavy use case like payments, users paying in stores with crypto, or institution to institution payments. I just met last night. I'm in Korea Blockchain Week right now, and met last night a guy who's got a partnership with Swift, and so you can, Swift is this technology that lets people move dollars into other foreign currencies across the world, and their technology is 20, 30 years old. I don't know. And they're now going to be using crypto under the hood. And it's just the perfect use case for crypto, like instant global payments, instant global transactions. I think we can make the world a much more efficient place if we can move as much on chain as we can. So I'd like encourage people to go there. The technology is ready now. I think you need to resist. There's a lot of ego and engineering, also in crypto VC investing, about building something which is cool, and like we just have too much technology. It's not useful anymore. Squid's built something which now lets payments happen anywhere. We've got a lot of good scaling technologies. Blockchain's extremely cheap to use. Like, it's ready for mass adoption already, I think. It's now going and finding real use cases with that technology that I'd encourage people to do. I think that's kind of the way. Yep.
It's definitely something to think about in terms of like what are the real use cases and what will ultimately lead to the most. So yeah, I think the payments, like you mentioned, like the account abstraction, all of those kinds of things, and really bringing, we talked with EtherFi. They had a really interesting one where they have like loans that help pay themselves back, and they're trying to move into like now credit cards and things of that nature. So I'm excited to see where everything goes. But finally, like, where can listeners learn a little bit more about you guys and get involved?
I think following our Twitter is the best. And watch out for the next summer camp that we do. Discord as well. So our Twitter it might be in the link in the notes, but Squid Router, one word. And yeah, follow me as well, ECDSAFU. You can put that and send it to you. And use Squid. I mean, honestly, like, we have so many people who actually use us. And I think that's more than most crypto projects can say. Like, it's a really useful tool. So app.squidrouter.com, and yeah, try it out. Let us know what you think. Yeah,
awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Fig, and to all the builders out there in Web3. Let's continue building the future and build some real use cases, as we mentioned.